Today we will multiply and divide fractions. This addresses Standard 7 NS-A2C, apply properties of operations as strategies to multiply and divide rational numbers. Today's objective is that students will be able to multiply and divide fractions with positive and negative products and quotients. Example 1 says 1/6 multiplied by 3/4. So we have a positive fraction being multiplied by a positive fraction, which will give us a positive product. So we're going to have 1/6 and 3/4. So we'll multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3. 6 times 4 is 24. But we do need to simplify that fraction. So we would divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 24 divided by 3 is 8. However, back here when we were doing 1/6 and 3/4, we could go ahead and simplify before we multiplied, which sometimes saves you a whole lot of work. So we can't simplify 1 and 4, but we can simplify 6 and 3. So think about what number we're going to 6 and 3 both, which would have been 3. 3 would have went into itself 1 time and would have went into 6 2 times. Then we could have multiplied straight across and got 1 times 1, which is 1, and 2 times 4, which is 8, and also have got 1/8. It's not a big deal when you're multiplying these small numbers, but sometimes when you're working with much larger numbers, especially ones that are easily divisible by 2, it saves you a lot of work if you go ahead and simplify before you multiply those numbers. Okay, in example 2, we have a negative number being multiplied by a negative number, so 2 negatives is going to give us a positive answer. We're going to do 1/2 multiplied by 4/5. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 5 is 10. We would simplify that by dividing both of those numbers by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. So we would have gotten 2/5. Again, before you multiplied, not a big deal with these small numbers, but before you multiplied, we couldn't do anything with 1 and 5, but we could with 2 and 4. Both of those numbers are divisible by 2, so 2 would have went into itself 1 time and into 4 2 times. Then 1 times 2 would have given us 2, and 1 times 5 would have given us 5. And we still would have come out with 2/5. Pause your video and try examples 3 and 4. Now on this problem, we've got a positive being divided by a negative. Okay, so that is 1/2 divided by 4/5. And since we've got a positive and a negative, we know it's a negative quotient. However, you may remember from probably 4th or 5th grade when you started doing this, whenever you divide fractions, we do what you all refer to as keep, change, flip. That's where you keep your first fraction, so you're keeping the 1/2, and then you're changing your division to multiply, and then taking the reciprocal of that last fraction, that 4/5. So we flip that. That's what taking the reciprocal means. So that's 5/4. Then you multiply again straight across like we were doing before. So 1 times 5 is 5, and 2 times 4 is 8. And we cannot simplify 5/8, so we get negative 5/8. Okay, in number 4, we've got a positive and a positive, which will give us a positive quotient. So we have 1/6 divided by 2/9. So we're going to keep 1/6, change our division to multiplication, and take the reciprocal of 2/9, which is 9/2. Now again, you don't have to, but it's a good practice to go ahead and get used to. So we can't simplify the 1 and 2, but we can the 6 and 9. 3 would go into 6 and 9 both. So 3 would go into 6 2 times, and 3 would go into 9 3 times. So when we multiply straight across, we get 1 times 3, which is 3, and 2 times 2, which is 4. And we said that that answer would be positive. So we get positive 3/4. Pause your video and try examples 5 and 6. So we have a positive 7/8 divided by a positive 1/4. So two positives will give us a positive answer. And we have 7/8 divided by 1/4. So we will keep 7/8, change our division to multiplication, and take the reciprocal of 1/4, which is 4/1. I'm going to go ahead and simplify. So I can't do anything with 7 and 1, but I can simplify this 4 and 8. Both of those numbers are divisible by 4. So 4 would go into 8 2 times and into itself 1 time. 7 times 1 is 7. 2 times 1 is 2. So in this one we have got an improper fraction. If you'll remember, we talked about dividing those and doing what I refer to as the clock in order to change that to a mixed number. So 2 goes into 7 3 times, which gives us 6 with 1 left over. So we get 3 1/2. In number 6, we have a positive fraction being multiplied by a negative fraction, so that's going to give us a negative answer. So we have 3/4 multiplied by 1/3. Now we're not doing keep, change, flip this time. You've got to be careful about that because this one is already at multiply. Remember, you only do keep, change, flip when you are dividing. Okay, we could go ahead and simplify with these 3's here, but with the number that small, it's not a huge deal that you do. However, you'll need to simplify your answer. So straight across gives us 3 times 1, which is 3, and 4 times 3, which is 12. So we need to simplify 3/12, so both numbers are divisible by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Don't forget, though, we already said that it was negative up here, so don't forget that negative sign. That's super easy to do. Pause your video and try examples 7 and 8. So we have a negative 9/10 multiplied by a negative 1/2. So two negatives will give us a positive product. We have 9/10 being multiplied by 1/2. Multiplying straight across, 9 times 1 is 9. 2 times 10 is 20. And we cannot simplify 9/20. So we get positive 9/20 as our product. Number 8, we have positive 1/2 and negative 4/5. So that'll give us a negative product. So we have 1/2 multiplied by 4/5. Again, not a huge deal with these small numbers, but we could go ahead and simplify that 2 and 4. If you do not, just remember to simplify your answer. So 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 5 is 10. So think about what number goes into 4 and 10 both. So they're both divisible by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And don't forget, we've already said up here that it is negative 2/5. Pause your video and try examples 9 and 10. So we have 1/3 and negative 9/20. So a positive and a negative give us a negative. So we have 1/3 multiplied by 9/20. I'm going to go ahead and simplify on this one. I can't do anything with 1 and 20, but I can with this 3 and 9. So both of those numbers are divisible by 3. So 3 would go into itself 1 time and into 9 3 times. Now I can multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3. And 1 times 20 is 20. Which gives me negative, don't forget the negative, 3/20. In number 10, we have a positive 3/10 divided by a negative 3/7, which will give me a negative quotient. So I have 3/10 divided by, this time, 3/7. So in this case, we have to do our keep, change, flip. So we keep 3/10, we change our division to multiplication, and we take the reciprocal of 3/7, which is 7/3. I'm going to go ahead and simplify these 3's right here. So both of them are divisible by 3, which goes into itself one time. 1 times 7 is 7. 10 times 1 is 10. And 7/10 cannot be simplified, but it is negative 7/10. Okay, go ahead and pause your video, and let's try to complete these adding and subtracting integers. Again, there is some rational numbers there in A, but go ahead and pause your video and try to complete these 3 problems. Okay, so let's start out with A. So negative 2 1/4. And I'm going to work with this 1 3/4. I will go back and get that whole number 8 in just a minute. So I want to work with, let's go ahead and combine those though. So let's write that as negative 2 1/4. 1/4, not half. Plus 8. Not matching socks going to make that minus 1 3/4. So I want to take these two. So let's work with that for a minute. So negative 2 1/4 minus 1 3/4. Okay, so obviously we're going to have more negative here. Remember, when you're adding and subtracting, you're using the which is more trick, not the fact that you've got 2 negatives making a positive. So it's going to be a negative answer. And since they have the same sign in front of them, that's when we add the 2. So I'm really doing 2 1/4 plus 1 3/4. So 2 plus 1 gives me 3. 3 plus 1 gives me 4. And then I've got my denominators of 4. So that other 4/4 really makes another whole, which is negative 4. So I'm going to go back and put negative 4. But I've got to go back and get this 8 here that I didn't use yet. And I'm going to add 8. So do you have more of your negative 4 or more of your positive 8? You've got more of your positive number. Since they have different signs in front of them, you should subtract the 2 numbers. So 8 minus 4 is 4. Okay, in part B, we're doing 1.25 minus 2.6. So that 1.25 is a positive number. So do you have more of your positive number or more of your negative number? Well, you have more of your negative number. Okay, do they have the same or different signs in front of them? They have the same sign, different signs, so you're going to subtract them. So we're going to do 2.6 minus 1.25. And remember, when you add or subtract decimals, you have to line up your decimals. So we're going to have to put a 0 as a placeholder there when we subtract these. So we'll borrow from the 6, making it a 5, so that 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. I'm going to bring down my decimal. 2 minus 1 is 1. So I'm going to get negative 1.35. Okay, in part C, I'm going to go ahead and combine. I've got socks right here, so I'm going to write that as negative 10 minus 3 plus 6 plus 15. Not matching socks, so minus 8. And I'm just going to work with a little bit of this at a time. So I'm going to start here. So I've got more negative. They have the same sign, so I'm going to add them together. So 10 and 3 is 13. I'm going to come here and combine these two. So I've got more positive, and they have the same sign, so I'm going to add those two. So 15 and 6 is 21. And then I've still got that minus 8. So now I'm working with negative 13 plus 21 minus 8. Okay, so this time I'm looking at these two. I've got more of my positive number. They have different signs, so I'm going to subtract them. 21 minus 13 is 8. And then I'm going to bring down my minus 8. And now I've got 8 minus 8, which just gives me 0. So the answer to part C was 0. Be sure and complete your assessment for today's assignment. Have a good day, guys.